So, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Um, Joe Biden, the corporate media that is in love with Joe Biden. And make no mistake, Joe Biden is the OG when it comes for CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times. They were pushing Kamala Harris only because Biden had not declared yet. But that is the preferred candidate. Of course, first and foremost, their preferred candidate is President Trump. They all want Donald Trump to win. You could watch them, bemoaning, oh, the racism, this, that, the other thing. And maybe it's sincere, but for business purposes, they don't want Donald Trump to lose. They want that golden escalator to continue riding for as long as possible. But if it's not going to be Trump, they want Joe Biden. Joe Biden. So Jen and I and Ty, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the media, have quietly, off the air, been having conversations the last few months. Because as journalists, you don't want to speculate about things without any facts. You don't want to come off like you have an agenda. Obviously, it's not a secret what I think of Joe Biden, but I report my opinions about Joe Biden are backed up by facts that I present every single day here at Status Quo. And for those of you who have not pressed the like button, we got 900 people watching, 790 likes. Press that like button and also press the share button to get this to more people. So here's the deal. Joe Biden has been known as this quote unquote gaffe machine where, he makes gaffes. And the definition of a gaffe, is saying, stupid things or saying things that aren't PC necessarily, basically saying things that could be offensive to minorities, could be offensive to women, so that is what I consider a gaffe. But a gaffe is different than forgetting things or mixing up things or stumbling through your thoughts and sentences or literally running out of things to say that you preemptively just stop talking. We've seen him do that debate after debate. So we thought the best thing we could do before we get to what I think is going on here is just show you. I mean, this is just the last few weeks. This is Joe Biden just in his own words. See the most recent, again, the media is calling it gaffes, but I think it's very clear these are not gaffes. This is somebody, frankly, who's having cognitive decline. And I say that not as a doctor, but as somebody who has eyeballs and somebody who is looking at somebody who cannot say full sentences in many cases without stuttering, without forgetting words, without mixing up words. And more importantly, where the facts come in is he's barely campaigning. He's barely campaigning, which we're going to talk about after. So let's take a look at just some of Joe Biden's finest over the last few weeks.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids, wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. You should be able to, if you cross the border, that they have to wait in line. And it's not one that, in fact...
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
I watched what happened when the kids from Parkland marched up to, and I met with them, and then they went off to up on the hill when I was vice president. They went off the hill to go into those neighborhoods. All those congressmen were like, "No, I'm not here. I'm not here. Don't tell them I'm around."
He also, this was not on video, he also keeps calling Theresa May, who was the prime minister as of 2 weeks ago, of Great Britain. He keeps calling her Margaret Thatcher, who died in 2013. Basically the Ronald Reagan of the UK, Margaret Thatcher. Keeps calling Theresa May Margaret Thatcher. He also misstated within 24 hours we had just basically the worst back-to-back mass shootings in American history. In Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, he called it, I think he said in Houston, and I forget the second place he said it, but he misstated the cities. So at a certain point, and the corporate media, I mean, Ty, I think I sent this to you earlier, but you have CNN reporters.
The tweet?
Yeah, can you show that? You had a CNN reporter today who is literally sending out tweets that come off like it's Joe Biden's press secretary. This is completely just covering for somebody who's clearly having cognitive issues. Joe Biden hears your taunts about his age, but he's busy on the rope line running as healer-in-chief. He's also like you to know he's going to run this campaign however he damn well pleases because it isn't his first rodeo. My dispatch. I tweeted at her, are you Joe Biden's press secretary or a CNN reporter? Because if you don't know, this is the same reporter that literally was tweeting out that she's shopping with Kamala Harris. She was tweeting out a little funny tweet about going shopping with Kamala Harris. This is who are covering the candidates. This is why I say covering up for the candidates. And I want to be very clear. And thank you, John Coyne, $5 in the super chat. I have to donate again after watching you destroy that Trump supporter. Thank you. And by the way, folks, you think I'm kidding. I need a fund just for the therapy. I mean, Ty gets migraines. I don't. I said after, I think I have a migraine. After, it wasn't just one Trump supporter.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one Trump supporter. It was several that I went toe to toe with.
They can look at it, but they can't see them all.
You could see them all right here on the channel, youtube.com/statusquo. But
You donated another 200?
You donated 200?
Oh, who donated 5? Okay, my bad.
Oh. Sure. And by the way, just want to keep it going. We just got 2 more members. So thank you. We now have Alex just joined us and Siri Ba just joined us. So we're now at 679 Status Quo members. Can we get 21 more? 21 more during this live stream? Because not only do we have Joe Biden to address, we also have some thoughts for Elizabeth Warren, who once again is moonwalking for Medicare for all, but nobody caught it and nobody's covering it. This candidate is not serious about Medicare for all, and she is being propped up by the very same people covering up for Joe Biden. So, statusquo.com/join. Let's keep it going. All we need is 21 more of you. 21 more of the 1,000 people watching to sign up. Statusquo.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. So I want to be very clear, okay? Because some of you might not like it, but I had a problem in 2016 when there were all these armchair doctors on the internet. When Hillary Clinton fell, some people were saying she's got dementia, she's got epilepsy, she's got this, she's got that. I'm not going to play internet doctor, okay? It's fun to play that, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about medical. I know something about backs because I've had 2 back surgeries in a year, but we're not doctors here. And obviously, I don't support Joe Biden politically, but I wish him well, like medically. I'm not wishing for anything to be wrong. But with that said, I have 2 eyes and I cover politics for a living, so I know when things are unusual. And not only has Joe Biden's campaign schedule been very unusual, but you're seeing right in front of your eyes cognitive decline. Some of you might be doctors or nurses and you could diagnose it over the internet. I don't know what it is, but you have somebody who's clearly forgetting things. And by the way, in fairness to Joe Biden, this is not something that's unusual. He's 76 years old. People have cognitive decline. My father is 62. I love him to death. He had something happen a few years ago that affected his brain, and he has some cognitive decline at 62. But I could still have a conversation with him. He's still very aware of his thoughts and this and that. But if you watched him on a presidential campaign and he was talking in front of people, there would be stumbles. And I'm sure many of you could identify with that if you have older siblings or parents, or if you yourself are in your 60s, 70s, 80s. I'm not being an ageist. This is just part of life. It's part of growing older. Physically, we have ailments. Mentally, we have ailments. And that's why it's so important to watch Status Quo and become a member, because this is good for your health. I think not the FDA, but I think there's research studies being shown that if you watch Status Quo 5 to 6 days a week, it makes your IQ a lot sharper. It makes you live a lot longer. All that. So the bottom line is, I don't want to. I'm not mocking Joe Biden, but what I am saying is, and forget Bernie Sanders for a second. We'll get to Bernie. Forget politics for a second. If you're neoliberal, if you're progressive, if you're conservative, if you're whatever, there's no objective person with 2 eyes that could watch. And we just showed maybe 4 clips. There's so many more clips of Joe Biden forgetting words, forgetting sentences. And to me, and I have looked this up, to me, the most unusual alarm thing that we keep seeing out of Joe Biden cognitively, he repeatedly cuts himself off from finishing sentences or finishing thoughts when no one is pressing him to speed it up. We saw in the first CNN debate that he was just like, oh, I'm done. All right, I'm done. Or my time is up, which you could write a campaign ad with, my time is up. He was doing that again in the second debate. And I've done the research. A lot of people with mental cognitive decline due to age, they get very frustrated. They get very frustrated because something's misfiring. You know, they used to be really sharp, and now they're forgetting words, they're forgetting thoughts, they're forgetting names, they're forgetting part of ailments. And again, I'm not going to diagnose Joe Biden over the internet, but part of growing old or cognitive decline is, especially, I mean, let's be honest, also men, because there's a pride issue too. There's the pride and the ego. We all know men have, boulders. And I'm sure I'm part of that too, Jen would say. But it's frustration, and you could see that Joe Biden is visibly frustrated, that he's just kind of not all there. And I think the corporate media and CNN people watching this would say, well, this is irresponsible, Jordan. You're not a doctor. You're not this. You shouldn't be saying this. No, I think it's irresponsible as journalists to keep pretending that this is just Joe being Joe. And this is just gaffes. This is not gaffes. This is, the one thing in that clip that was more, this is in the man's heart, is when he said, when he basically made the comment about poor kids and then white kids. Because obviously, this is what he thinks. All poor people are black. I mean, that's pretty consistent with his record. If you go back to the crime bill and welfare reform and bankruptcy bill and, hobnobbing with segregationists, obviously he's got, predispositions to thinking poor people are black and black people are more of a threat than white people when it comes to crime and these things. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.
Status quo.